This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy Mid-Century Modern from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. Shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
Fan.
Russo Radio.
Excellent. Russo Radio. Michael Russo, preeminent beat writer in the history of beat writing at Russo Hockey via the X Machine. We have the sounds of hockey behind us. Michael, assumedly you're at a practice, at a morning skate? Michael? Does somebody have a working...
Sorry, I lost you there.
That's okay. How you doing, bud?
Good. I was tweeting out the lines.
Okay. Well, you know what?
I figured that,
well, we can get
that was priority over being on the radio.
No, wait, bro. We can get this tweet real time because I have the tweet machine open in front of me. Did you tweet it yet?
There you go.
So here's Alec.
Yep, it's out there.
Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah press conference right now. Found it. Nordo, give us the lines.
Yeah, this 25 seconds ago, Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Boldy, then Johansson, Gaudreau, Zuccarello, into Foligno, Rossi, and Gustav Nyquist. Trenin, Hartman, Brazo in the fourth. He noted extra, Vinny Hinostroza. And then you got Brodin in favor, Middleton and Spurgeon, Boyum and Bogosian, Merrill and Chisholm.
Okay, so with
we both buried the lead there.
Z Boyum, third pair, blue line third pair. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see as they continue here, but it's pretty cool that he's getting that opportunity. We'll see if that means that he's going to play game one. I still, we'll have to see the way they are, and I think the big tell will be power play. One of the things I was thinking about on the way to rink today, I think one of the biggest concerns that I have going into the series about their 5-forward power play is I just think that if that's something that Vegas, it's really aggressive with their penalty kill, even though their penalty kill hasn't been great, that, they are shorthanded. They have shorthanded threats there. And I just think that, if you have a 5 forwards there, especially with Boldy at the point, you're kind of exposing yourself to, a potential problem. And so we'll see if that is one reason why maybe they would consider a defenseman there, whether that be a Faber, a Spurgeon, or, Zeev Boyum. So when they do power play units today, if Zeev is on that number one unit, that would definitely be a tell that maybe he's playing on Sunday, but we'll see.
The guy for whom they traded, Brazo. With all due respect, should they be bored with him? I mean, should he be a healthy scratch? And the reason, I don't watch as much as you, but when I do, he's taking some form of L every single game.
Yeah, I thought the Vancouver game he was pretty good. I don't think he was much of a factor last game. I'd rather Hinostroza in the lineup. I think he provides definitely more speed, more offense, things like that.
Right.
But they acquired him for a reason, and that was to add an element in the playoffs that would bring size to that fourth line. And because of that, I think that he's getting the first option, at least when the playoffs begin. But, Hinostroza can come out of the bullpen, so to speak, if they need him. But, yeah, I mean, he's not the most impressive player, that's for sure. But I definitely think he's started to play better here the last couple of weeks. I think that line played pretty good in Vancouver the other night when they had to cut down when they shortened the bench to try to rally and Trenton get kicked out of the game. Brazo was put on a line with Hartman and Foligno, and Brazo assisted on the tying goal. In fact, it was, Rossi and Nyquist that were benched pretty much the rest of the game at even strength. So, clearly they see value in the guy. So my guess is that he starts at least game one, and then we'll see if Hinostroza gets in at some point, or even, at some point here, the Black Aces are going to come up, and maybe we see a Liam Ogren or something like that in the lineup at some point.
Yeah, Brazo's, I'm sure you know this, but for those who don't, he's played 9 playoff games with the Bees. And is a couple of points, +1 in the plus-minus, plays about 12 minutes a game. Okay, and you got the size factor.
And I'll just say, the one thing I will say, because I covered that Boston-Florida series last year, is that, the fans were clamoring for him. They put him in the lineup, and he actually played quite well for the playoffs. And I think that's one thing that the Wild are probably remembering and why they acquired him, and that's why, whether he deserves to be in the lineup over Hinostroza or not, my gut says that he'll get the first opportunity just because he's had that playoff opportunity before.
Jason Robertson got hurt last night, and I wonder if that's going to impact the Stars-Lanch series. I don't know how significant it is, but I mean, in the last game of the season, man, when you lose one of your best players and the playoffs are looming, that's not preferred.
No, I haven't seen how serious it is, but obviously they're also without Heiskanen probably for the entire first round.
Wow.
Colorado, at some point, it sounds like he's getting Landeskog back for the first time in 3 years. That's going to add a definite boost to them. That's going to be an unbelievable series. I honestly can't wait to watch it. I hope that the games are not the same time as the Wild. That's the worst part when you're a beat writer and your team's actually in the playoffs. You actually don't get to watch as much playoffs as you'd like because there's so many games going on at the same time or while you're writing. So you don't get to watch it, but that series is going to be just unbelievable drama. And the winner of that series, you just hope that they're able to walk when they go into the second round against Winnipeg or St. Louis.
Well, I mean, just back to not to turn this into Stars fan line on the ticket in Dallas, but I had forgotten this and I just looked up their game logs. The Stars lost the final 7 games of the season. And then, here's a Peter DeBoer quote where after the game against Nashville, Robertson left in a knee brace, okay? And DeBoer said, quote, the purpose of resting people down the stretch was to hopefully avoid injury, and unfortunately we didn't do that with the Robertson injury. I don't know, man. Reading between the lines.
That doesn't sound good.
I don't think this is good, man. All right.
No.
Michael Russo at Russo Hockey, Wild Vegas this weekend. Who do you like to win the Cup and why?
I love Vegas. I really like them. I like Dallas, and I like Colorado. Those are probably the 3 teams. Winnipeg is still, to me, prove it. I want to see Hellebuck prove it when it matters. I want to see that team deliver when it matters. They haven't been able to in the playoffs so far with this core, and so they are a really talented team. Velarde looks like he's sort of on his way back. I think that would be a huge boost for the Jets. But to me, I think I think the Cup's coming out of the West this year. In the East, I think Toronto is probably the most ready that they've been in this sort of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander core, to make a playoff run. I think that series against Ottawa is going to be unbelievable. I think Florida-Tampa is going to be just incredible to watch. Carolina, we'll see. I mean, I know that they've been itching to try to win a cup for a long time there, but there's still times where I watch them where they just don't impress me, and I'm not sure that they have what it takes to be a true cup winner.
Russo Radio.
Did you pull anything from Vegas and Vancouver last night, getting in some adversarial intel?
Not really. I mean, Vegas basically, rested their guys down the stretch here. Right. Calgary, they had nobody in the lineup. And
right.
Same thing, for the very reason that you just talked about with Dallas. Vegas is just an elite hockey team when they are completely healthy, and they'll obviously have, Hurdle in the lineup, who got hurt right before they came to Minnesota a month or so ago. Eichel's been banged up. Theodore obviously missed a lot of time, but he's back in the lineup. Petro's been banged up. They've had a lot of guys banged up, but they're all back. They're all expected to be back. So they are a big, strong, formidable team. They could kill you on the power play. Their penalty kill is threatening, even though they've been leaky. That's one area where I do think the Wild could take advantage. And the other area where I think they could take advantage of them is Hill. Even though he's won a cup, he's not the greatest goalie laterally, and I think that you can kind of take advantage of that. So great blue line. It's going to be a tough series for Minnesota.
Michael Russo, The Athletic, theathletic.com. Vegas goaltending, and you know more about it than me and all of us. How is Vegas's goaltending?
Well, if the Wild can get Samson off the net, they'll win the series. But unfortunately, I think Adin Hill is probably going to play, and he's a really quality goalie. And the reality is that he's won a cup, and the Wild don't have a goalie that they're going to start that's won a cup, and that lends a lot of confidence. So I think you can get to Adin Hill, especially as I just mentioned. If you can get him laterally, get him moving side to side, I think you could beat him. But he's a big, strong goalie. Strong on his blades and things like that in the crease. He's hard to beat at times when he is on top of his game, and lately, he's been doing that.
Vegas is high end with the power play, but correct me if I'm wrong here. Still not many penalties called in the postseason, right?
Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of penalties called down the stretch in the NHL this year either. Power play numbers were at sort of an all-time low. Down the stretch. So I don't know if we're going to see less or more. If the Wild can get some power plays, and you have Ziv on the ice, I think that changes everything with that number one unit. So we'll see if they get them in, whether it's game one or at some point in the series. But I think the Wild have what it takes against that penalty kill, which has not been very good, to beat it. The one area where I think that the penalty kill could be much better for Vegas is the fact that now, if Eichel and Karlsson are both healthy together, they're usually very good together. And that's one area where I think Eichel's penalty kill numbers have been down in the second half of the season. I think a big reason for that is William Karlsson, for the most part, was out of the lineup. Now he's back. I think they'll get back to playing a strong game. But you're right. I mean, their power play can be daunting at times. Eichel and Hurdle, and, they have two quality units. I mean, Dorofeev is one hell of a player. Scored 34 goals, let him in goals, and he flips between the first and second unit. So we'll see what they have in practice today and tomorrow. Actually, they're off today, but we'll see what they have in practice tomorrow in Vegas, and then the Wild will get some intel on the personnel that they're planning on using.
Is Jack Eichel one of the 10 most coveted players in the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, the Wild tried to get him a couple years ago when he was available, and he obviously got traded to Vegas, had his surgery, and came back, and winds up winning a cup. He very easily, I had Marchessault number one on my Conn Smythe ballot, but Eichel is a very close number two. Very easily could have been the Conn Smythe winner that year. But Eichel has turned himself into one incredibly good two-way centerman. If his, I'm going to put him on my Selke ballot and probably on my Hart ballot today. The one area where I think that he's improved the most is defensively. And, as I was talking to somebody in Vegas for that big Jack Eichel story I did before the Four Nations, the one area where he can be, vulnerable is in the faceoff circle. And if he was like an elite faceoff guy, he'd probably be a perennial Selke guy now. That's one area where I think sometimes it probably hurts their penalty kill as well. That he is just a dynamic force. He's fast. He can play make as well as he could shoot. But defensively, Wild fans will see this year how much he's improved in this series.
All right, two more. Thank you for the time. So Hines has all of his dogs, which means, okay, now, I mean, you're a 7 going against a 2, so, no excuses, but plenty of excuses if the Vegas is, like you said, Stanley Cup winning quality. But if the Wild was to pull an upset in this series, what are like a couple of things that would have to happen?
Well, I think that the one thing is that you don't want to get into a run and gun with them. I don't think you want to try to win 5-4 games. They're going to have to continue to defend as well as they have down the stretch. Say for the San Jose game, obviously, which was not great defensively. But I think that we're going to have to see Kaprizov and Boldy really lead the way. The Eriksson X are going to show up and get into the battle. But it's very clear to me that Kaprizov is still working off the rust. And maybe this week of just, building up his body again and getting ready for the playoffs would really help. But if Kaprizov is the Kaprizov we saw in the St. Louis series, his playoff debut for the Wild in 2022, I think that really is going to put, to me, he is still the best player in the series. And that's no disrespect to Eichel, because everybody knows how much I love Eichel. But Kaprizov is a true dynamic superstar that can light you up, beat you with one shot. And I think that if he could show up and prove that he is 100% the Kaprizov that we saw when he was a Hart Trophy favorite before he got hurt, I think that obviously will help the Wild. But the other one I want to see, who I wrote about today in The Athletic, is Matt Boldy.
Right.
Boldy was great down the stretch. The last 3 weeks, he scored huge goals for them. He got to the inside, which has been always his big criticism, that he's sometimes too perimeter, especially in the playoffs. That's not just fans and media. That's Bill Guerin has said that. And so, you look at some of the goals that he's scored here in the last 3 weeks, and he's getting to the meat of the offensive zone, to the places that Eriksson Ek and Rossi score goals. And so that's what I want to see in the playoffs from him. And you saw it even on the game tying goal the other day. Zuccarello makes an unbelievable play along the board to get that puck to right to Boldy, and Boldy knew what he was going to do with it right away. He didn't just, he's standing at the side of the net. He had Eriksson Ek set up. He didn't try to stuff it into the goalie's pads. He put it right onto Eriksson Ek's blade, and then tying goal, and saves the Wild season. And so, for him to be in that spot says something, and that's what you want to see in the postseason.
Will you see David Windjam when you go to Las Vegas?
I plan to send him a text today just to say hello. Good. And see if we can catch up for a meal. I will definitely try.
Appreciate you, brother. Safe travels. Talk next week.
Yep. See ya. Take care.
Yep. See ya. Michael Russo, The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Russo Hockey. And our final guest today is around the corner, one of our very favorite basketball contributors, somebody we thoroughly enjoy reading at The Athletic and theathletic.com. Johnny Athletic, Jonny Krawczynski, joins 9 to noon around the corner. But first,
The Fan, along with BigDeck.com, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. The keyword is cash. You want to win some cash? Enter the keyword cash at KFAN.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When 3 best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
KFAN.com.
Johnny Athletic, Paul Allen, what's going on?
PA, I've missed you, buddy. How you doing?
Likewise, great seeing you at the games, but I haven't had you on the radio nearly enough, but it's postseason, so what we do is we regular season for show with certain people, and we postseason for dough with Jonny Krawczynski and Johnny Athletic of The Athletic and theathletic.com. I'm just going to start here with an overarcher. Just super cool series, man. Super cool series coming up. What do you think?
Yeah, I just can't wait, PA. I know that a lot of Wolves fans are nervous about this matchup, and I get it. I mean, LeBron and Luka, the Lakers, the referees, all of that stuff. There's reason for angst, but to me, when you look at all of the possibilities that they had for just a super compelling, young guys against the older guys, and going at LeBron's crown, this whole Wolves team trying to figure things out all season long and now getting a shot at the marquee franchise in the NBA. It's going to be just loads of fun, I think. I think it's going to be really, really competitive. I think it's going to be a long series, but yeah, I'm just really ready to go and get this thing started.
It's been a grindy season and taxing to a certain extent for really all involved, is my opinion. But with Chris Finch, because you're next to him and on the road and everything, man, you know more about it than us. It seems like it's really taken a toll. Might be strong, but I think there are parts of this year that have beaten Finchy down, and I can't, just the inconsistency. And I kind of got to that conclusion when they blew that 24-point lead to Milwaukee. And you asked a question, he was like, John, whoa, John, no, it's not that, John. And I'm like, damn, right. Finchy used his name. He must be frustrated.
Yeah, I do think he has been frustrated a lot this season. I think he takes pride in being able to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how they fit together, no matter how they're shaped. And I do think that this season has been his biggest challenge in finding out what lineup combinations work, how to push the right buttons, how to find any kind of consistency, not just week to week and month to month, but quarter to quarter in an NBA game. I think it's been taxing on him. I think he has had very great moments, and he's had some moments where he has struggled as well, just like the entire team. One thing about Chris Finch in his stay here so far is that every single year his teams have gotten a lot better as March and April have come around. And I do think that the Wolves are much closer to understanding who they are and what they have to do than they've been at any point this season. But there's still question marks going in and how they're going to handle all of this stuff. And Chris Finch is going to have to be incredibly elastic in the way that he approaches this series. And there can be no sacred cows. He's got to be able to, kind of make decisions and adjustments on the fly. And how he coaches in this series is going to play a big role in what happens in the outcome.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This is a team with the 24-point blown lead and a team in which they lose to basically the bench of the Indiana Pacers. They were 17-4 over their final 21. So, Johnny, you hit on it. This is a squad that overall, despite those two specific moments, have really elevated as the spring has progressed. When you look back at the regular season as we get into the Lakers series, how we were perceiving that Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo would fit into this mix, how Ant would potentially handle maybe a more alpha or significant role as the overall leader and best player on this team. Has this ended the way potentially into this series that Finch can walk away from with some confidence and saying, I think we're close to where we need to be?
Yeah, Nordo, I do think that they are closer to what they visualized when they first made the trade. I do believe that they were a little bit surprised at sort of how long it has taken them to acclimate the new guys, to figure everything out, to kind of get their identity on both ends of the court established. I think that they expected it to be a little more seamless with Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo than it was. That said, I think that the signs that we have seen really for greater than 2 months now is it is a team that has steadily and significantly improved its chemistry, improved its execution. It's funny because this team is a lot like Rudy Gobert individually in that the mistakes that they make, the flaws that they have are very loud. You look at the 24-point blown lead to Milwaukee. You look at a lot of the failures in crunch time situations, and those are ugly, loud mistakes, just like when Rudy, drops a pass on the interior, when he misses a layup, like those types of things. But the overarching kind of a view of the team and the player, from my perspective, is they're really good. And the things that they are doing well are less kind of sexy and less highlight reel outside of Ant going for 40. And so it's harder to sort of appreciate, I think, in real time exactly where they are. But they are 17-4. They have been better than the Lakers in every metric since, even since Luka arrived in Los Angeles. They're a good team, and they have a real good shot at winning this series.
Diving even a bit deeper, specifically, Johnny, with Julius Randle, I thought it was interesting because when he came to the team, it was kind of loved playing with Finch, got to know him a little bit down in NOLA, and now here I am, excited to do whatever I can to help the team. I mean, there's a lot of players have said that in the annals of time, but recently, kind of paraphrasing, he spoke about kind of his own lot in life in terms of, I know I can score 30, but in the end, night by night, I need to be better, or I'm working on being better at doing whatever we need to do as a team to win. Have you seen any of that introspection from Julius in terms of, really in his health recently? The team's almost unbeatable when he makes the game. So it's like he's playing well and it's kind of working. But have you seen some of that introspection from Julius here?
Yeah, for sure. And that quote stood out to me as well this week, Nordo, in terms of, he came from an organization with the New York Knicks where he was largely the number one guy, the go-to scorer. Now, Jalen Brunson got there towards the end and was very, very important. But for most of Julius's stay in New York, and even when he was in New Orleans with Anthony Davis, his role was get buckets, man. Go out there and put the ball in the basket. And so it was an adjustment for him to come here and be the Robin to Anthony Edwards' Batman, to be the guy who they don't need 30 points from you every night, Julius. What they need from you is to collapse the defense, draw a bunch of attention, kick out to wide open 3-point shooters, hit Rudy Gobert with those sneaky little lob passes to keep him involved offensively and maximize him. And he has largely done that. There are times where he's a little slow-footed on defense. There are times where the 3-point shot is not dropping. But since he came back from his injury, he's shooting 40% from three. He's been really efficient. He's making good decisions. And he has just really accepted the role of number 2 scorer, but kind of number 1 facilitator. And I think that makes a huge difference for the Timberwolves and their chances in this series.
So who gets initially before the picks? Who gets LeBron and who gets Luka?
Yeah, it's going to be a good, really interesting to see how that all plays out. My guess is, PA, that they will start conventionally in terms of they will start the way they usually do things, and that would be putting Jaden McDaniels on Luka Doncic and then probably Julius Randle on LeBron. But getting back to kind of Finch being having to do the adjusting, I do think that he's going to have to read the series because so far, Luka Doncic is one of the few players that just is not bothered at all by Jaden McDaniels. And so I think that if that continues, if Jaden just does not have the same kind of effectiveness one-on-one, mano-a-mano against Luka, and it looks a lot more like the Dallas series that way, I do think that you're going to see Anthony Edwards. You may even see Randall or Naz Reid on Luka. You may see all sorts of different looks and things to try and wear him out. And so I think that the key is going to be, though, PA, that they have to make him work on defense. Like, they did not do that in the Dallas series at all. And so they have to go at him and tire him out that way, make him move around. And so maybe he's just a little less sharp down the stretch offensively because they do not want to get into a shot-making contest with Luka and LeBron in this series, or else they will be in trouble.
What is the best route of attack to get the most offense and fluidly out of Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, I think that what you're going to see them try to do is, two things that are going to be the priorities. One is what we saw down the stretch from Julius Randle, from Dante DiVincenzo, from Conley, even a little bit from Ant, is penetrate and then suck the defense in. Rudy would be in the dunker spot, throw a little bit of a lob pass to him. Just get him involved that way, get him to throw down some dunks, get him to feel good about things. Then you'll see him more engaged defensively. The other thing that Rudy absolutely has to do offensively in this series is he has to dominate the offensive glass. He's got to get those putbacks. He's got to create second chances. He's got to tower over the smaller Lakers because the Lakers want to play small with Rui at the 5, LeBron at the 4, and Rudy just has to make them pay, on the offensive glass and generate more opportunities that way, or else he's going to have to find himself on the bench, and the Wolves are going to have to go small. So pound that offensive glass and hit him on those lobs off screen and roll and in the dunker spot, and that's kind of the blueprint for the Wolves being able to do what they do best, which is stay big and try and overpower the Lakers that way.
Just got an email here to the 64686. What's the best route to finding you on Twitter?
At JonKrawczynski.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
If it's widely believed Austin Reeves is the wild card, the 3 and the MV3 for the Lakers, who's the wild card for the Timberwolves? So Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, you have to get high-end performances, specifically offensively, out of them. Who would be next?
Yeah, I think it's Jaden McDaniels, PA, because the Lakers' perimeter defense is soft. And so what the Wolves cannot do is stick Jaden McDaniels in the corner and allow, whether it's Reeves, whether it's Luka, one of their better offensive players to just rest on defense and not have to worry about Jaden from a shooting standpoint. McDaniels has to be active. He's got to be catching. He's got to be going to the basket. He's got to be using his size. We've seen him in the second half of this season take those 2 dribbles from the 3-point line, get to the lane, pull up, kind of a leaning back, shoot it over anyone who's trying to contest him. And so he's got to have an efficient offensive series, because if he makes shots, if he is involved offensively, if he's moving without the ball, getting easy baskets, then there's no place for Austin Reeves in particular and Luka in a sense to hide. I think the Lakers' biggest weakness is that perimeter defense, and they have to force Jared Vanderbilt onto the floor to guard Anthony Edwards, to guard a few of these other guys, and make the Lakers a little bit more one-dimensional.
Hey, just a couple more here for Johnny Athletic, John Krawczynski, The Athletic, theathletic.com. Fantastic NBA playoff coverage, by the way, at The Athletic and theathletic.com. When it comes to the JJ Redick, I mean, it's Finch had him in New Orleans, but JJ's fiery, competitive, got good run out of the team, specifically after they made the Doncic move. But this is his first playoff series as a head coach. And, maybe it's easier than I think it is. But, I mean, timeouts at certain times, lineups at certain times, managing foul trouble, handling the refs. There's just a lot that goes into it this time of the year. What do you think of J.J. Redick as a head coach?
Yeah, I've been super impressed, PA. I think that it's funny because the Lakers played the Wolves early in the season when they were not playing well before the Luka Doncic trade. And you could see the frustration in JJ's face, both in game and in the post game press conferences, about trying to get through to these guys. And I was wondering, man, is he going to be long for this? Like, he cannot be that bothered already. But to his credit, he has figured this thing out. It is not an easy thing to pivot mid-season, and you're trading Anthony Davis and you're getting Luka Doncic and all those things. So he's done a really good job of incorporating Luka on the fly. He's got an excellent assistant coaching staff, Scott Brooks, Nate McMillan, really experienced head coaches that will help him in these scenarios. So you never know how a rookie head coach is going to react in his first playoffs, but I do think that of all the concerns the Lakers might have in this series, of the questions that I have about what the Lakers are going to do, JJ Redick is pretty far down the list. He's a meticulous preparer. He's a really good in-game coach. I think he's going to be a great coach for a long time.
OKC favored from the West to get to the NBA Finals. Do you think it's that easy? I know they're the one. Who do you like to get to the Western Conference Finals beginning, obviously now with the play-in stuff?
Yeah, I mean, OKC, all the numbers say that they're an elite team, and what I've watched, they look elite. You just do wonder how these young guys will handle the playoffs. Not so much Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Jalen Williams, even Chet, like some of his supporting cast. When the pressure rises, are they going to be ready for that? And that's what I'll be waiting to see. I still anticipate them going to the Western Conference Finals. And honestly, PA, I think whoever comes out of Lakers-Wolves is going to go to the Western Conference Finals as well. You have Houston and Golden State in the other semifinal in this bracket, or in quarterfinal. And so, I think both the Lakers and the Wolves match up really well against either of those teams. And so this series that starts on Saturday, I think really could tell the tale of who's going to the Western Conference Finals on the bottom of the Western Conference bracket to face Oklahoma City, which has to be the prohibitive favorite right now.
Last one, my brother, you're the best. How much, if any, run does Jalen Clark get in this series? And the reason I ask is because if you have fouls to burn, and I mean, you can burn them with Clark on Luka. I mean, I'm certainly not saying commit larceny or a felony here, but Jalen would be completely comfortable beating up Luka Doncic and burning fouls for the greater good. How much Clark run you think we get?
Yeah, I'm with you, PA. I hope we see him a fair amount. One of the quibbles that I've had with Finch for most of this season is I wish he would have expanded his rotation even more. He's talked a lot about wanting to do it, but in the heat of the moment, he really sticks with his top 8 for the most part. And so I do think, though, that Jalen Clark is a real asset in this series. Like you said, not just with his fouls, but he's a smart offensive player. Like, he can make a shot. He'll make good decisions. He's not going to hurt you on that end either. And so he's a big, strong dude. Put him out there. Use him as much as you can, not just on Luka, but on Reeves. I think he could even put him on LeBron a little bit here and there. He's very versatile. And so I would like to see Finch go 9 deep, but a solid 9, not just play Clark for 5 minutes in the first half and don't play him in the second half. I think that this is a tougher series defensively for Mike Conley. And so if you have to reduce his minutes, Jalen Clark really makes a lot of sense to kind of step in to that void, to give you some physicality, to give you some dogged competitiveness. And I hope that Finch really does go a strong 9 and doesn't squeeze, into just 8 and ride with those guys, because I think Clark can bring something to this series.
You, my friend, are elite. Thank you very much for the wonderful work you've done all season on the stories. Thank you for the time. I'm sure we'll do it again more frequently. And safe travels, okay, John?
Can't wait. Thanks, PA.
See you, brother. Jonny Krawczynski from the Athletic. Wolves and the Lakers Saturday on KFAN. Game 1 from Crypto.com Arena. Final segment with the wrap on the...
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When 3 best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
Radio app.
I can't wait. I can't wait until tomorrow.
Because tomorrow's the Friday football feast with the PA Charge Nordo and Lovin' Candula. And we're going to head into the weekend. It's just a phenomenal name. Every time I hear that Advent spot, with all due respect, I know it involves something, with like the nose or whatever, and love the word Advent. The name, Lovin' Candula. That's just a spectacular name. It's the first time I've shared that. So everybody go crazy. By the way, go crazy a week from today at the Minnesota Vikings Draft Party radio show. It is the Miller Lite Vikings Draft Party. And here's the deal. We have comp tickets for you if you want to go. Next Thursday, radio show begins at 7. Draft party begins significantly earlier. And here's what you do. Show us your purple preset. The contest is Show Us Your Purple Preset. It's a social media thing. Take a screenshot of KFAN as a preset on your iHeartRadio app. Then post the screenshot on your social media channels. Then please tag at KFAN1003 and using hashtag KFAN Purple Preset. Winners are going to be drawn lately, and hopefully we'll see you at the draft party a week from today because that's round number 1. We happen to be quite excited about it. Joe Smith, who covers the Minnesota Wild with Russo Radio. I'm sure Michael Russo probably tweeted this maybe during one of my long winding questions. But I saw it at Joe Smith NHL. Z Boyum, third pair with the blue liners.
Yeah, that's what this team is all about: defense and working hard.
But wow, top power play.
Get it in here! I got one thing to say.
Oh, but that's
when the big dogs come out. Okay, all right. You can't roll with the big dogs. Stay on the board.
Z Boyum, top power play unit.
It sounded like
in practice
that would, if there was a clue that he would potentially or likely be in the mix for game 1, that it would be something like giving him those opportunities in practice. So what if we're going to be Z?
Let's go. We'll go with Z's 19 years old
on Saturday night.
Yeah, my man's 19. He ain't going to be 20 until December. So this is
crazy.
Cool. So many things. There's so many things make hockey cool. This is another one when they come right from college right into the postseason like Cale Makar did a few years ago. I just love that.
And since he's going to have to try hard to stand out since there are like 20 guys on the ice at once, as we learned earlier in the show as well.
That's the common thread all the way back to beloved YA Young Alec. Thank you very much for listening today. PA in Charge feasting tomorrow. It's the Friday football feast at FM 100.3 KFAN. Ladies and gentlemen, from the fighting city of West Mankato, by way of Slayton, here to provide the wrap on the show, an emerging young talent who's traveled with Cool Mo D, LL Cool J, and Eminem. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Big Daddy Khan.
Always been more of a Fulda guy myself, but Slayton is sweet. Shout out to Sean and Luke, end of the show. They're well known for big mantles and small trophies, though. Thursday edition was on brand and copacetic. How many more guests can we get from The Athletic? Maybe tomorrow, Peter Carline or Dan Hayes and national bits from LeBrun and Robert Mays. We did learn a few good bits. Alec Lewis in studio. He's playing the hits. It's a target-rich environment at Pick 24. The O-line like a submarine with the screen door. Are we plugging holes or bolstering the D-line? More than others, I think a safety would be fine. Watch out for the Packers at 23 like a vulture. Cheers to Lieber in studio for the culture. Russo thinks Vegas will roll. We'll top rope crushing our wild loving souls. And Jonny K, he's never one to boast, but he likes the Howl's chances out on the West Coast. We don't need you.
Copyright Dan Barrero.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.